Hello and welcome to Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. My name is Kelly and I'm a former wedding planner and blogger, and I'm obsessed with weddings. If you're planning a wedding in Ireland, you're in the right place. You're going to learn the tried and tested methods to planning your dream wedding without the added stress. Think of this as your one-stop shop for everything to do with planning your wedding in Ireland, with me, your new wedding planning bestie, and a cup of tea. This is Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online. Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast. My name is Kelly, and as I said in the intro to this episode, I'm a former wedding planner, I'm a blogger, I'm obsessed with weddings, and so I feel perfectly positioned to talk about this topic, which is what wedding planners wish the couples knew from day one. So because I used to be a wedding planner, and I planned my own wedding, I kind of see both sides of the wedding story. I see the perspective of a wedding planner, I see the perspective of a couple, and so today we're going to kind of demystify a few things, and this is in no way a judgmental episode, but it's more for you to get an understanding of things that wedding planners just know that can really help you to plan your dream wedding. So by the end of this, you're going to know a little bit more about wedding planning and a little bit more about wedding planners and the things that you really need to focus on in the early days of planning your very own wedding. So why don't we get stuck into it? The first thing that a wedding planner really wants you to know is a little bit about the reality of planning a wedding. So you might fall into the Pinterest trap. It's very easy to start off with the colors, the flowers, the dresses, and the themes, and completely skip out the boring but essential stuff. I get it. The fun stuff is fun for a reason. But actually, there are a few things that matter even more that if you haven't nailed, the fun stuff doesn't really feel fun. So personally, I find these more foundational things to be quite interesting and exciting because I'm an admin kind of person. I love my checklists and spreadsheets. But if that's not you, it's going to feel a little bit tedious. But if you get these things done properly, it's going to set you up so that when you start making your fun decisions, you've got the foundations. Okay, so episode 109 of the podcast is called If I Got Engaged, I'd Do This First. And in that episode, what I did was I kind of broke down the fundamental questions to ask, the decisions to make as soon as you get engaged. And these things will really help you to then fill in the color with all the fun stuff that you want to do. For example, get honest about your budget. It's not fun, it's not glamorous, but if you don't know how much you can spend, you don't know which suppliers you can book. Then talk about your non-negotiables. So sit down with your partner and work out what matters to you guys as a couple. If you don't know what your non-negotiables are, you're going to get caught up in all the things that people tell you you're going to need for your wedding. Then start thinking about your guest list early because it can affect everything. So what I'm not saying is start inviting people, but I am saying have a list of who you would like to invite, and then you have an idea of how many people you want to have, which then helps you to know what kind of venue to look for. It also helps you to know roughly what you're going to be spending because anything that is a kind of per head cost is very hard to estimate if you don't know how many people you want at the wedding. And then you want to talk about your ideal season, the date, and the kind of general vibe of your wedding. So this is a fun one, but you need to talk about it. And then you really want to speak to your partner and agree on how involved you both want to be. So I always recommend having a good, frank, and honest conversation because communication really is everything. And if you can set those expectations, you're going to set yourself up to have a really amazing wedding planning time together as a couple without fighting over who should have done what. Now, planning a wedding is not just about the checklist, although the checklist is incredibly helpful, but it's a series of decisions that can reflect who you are as a couple. Okay, next thing that a wedding planner really, really wants you to know is about the misconceptions about wedding planners. So again, I've gone into great detail about this in episode 137, but I want to give you a bit of a summary because I think it can help you to understand a little bit more about wedding planners actually do and what they don't do, and kind of going through a few myths. So I'll go through the myths very quickly. But for you to really get an appreciation about what wedding planners actually do, I'd love for you to listen to that episode, 137. If you're considering having a wedding planner, or if you've already told yourself that you can't, but maybe you actually can, have a listen. But let's go through the myths together. First myth, I can't afford a wedding planner. I get it. But actually, many wedding planners offer kind of partial planning or on-the-day coordination, or they do like consultations and things that can help set you up, and then you plan the wedding yourself. I also fully believe that a wedding planner can help you save money by making smart decisions with you so that you don't waste money on things you don't need. And wedding planners are super connected as well, and they can often get you discounted rates with other incredible suppliers. Just saying. The next myth. The venue coordinator is going to do the same thing, right? Well, actually, venue coordinators work for the venue. Wedding planners or wedding coordinators work for you. They often work together really, really well. So this is by no means a knock on venue coordinators, because I know how amazing they are. But it's just helpful to know that a venue coordinator handles venue-related things. So anything that's not related to the venue needs to be handled by someone. Okay, next myth. They're just going to take over and make it their wedding. Actually, a good wedding planner is always going to listen first, because they're not there to hijack the plans and do what they want to do. So actually, there are a couple of scenes that I've seen in movies and TV shows where wedding planners come up with the whole vision for a couple. So I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Wedding Planner, where the parents of the bride say to the wedding planner, "What's your vision?" And she starts listing all these things, nighttime, ceremony under the stars, and giving all these suggestions based on nothing other than having had one conversation with these people. And that really irritates me, because that's not what wedding planners do. Wedding planners help you to identify what's important to you and to bring that to life. They're not going to hijack things. Another myth is, I only need a planner if I'm having a big wedding. Actually, smaller weddings actually need as much attention to detail, especially if you're trying to keep everything low-key but still really beautiful and special. And then the final myth is, if I can just plan it myself, how hard is that going to be? Now, of course, it's doable, but it's not always fun under pressure, and a planner is going to help keep the day running smoothly so you can be present. So it's not just about the planning, it's about how the day actually runs as well. So now, of course, I planned my own wedding. I understand the DIY mindset, but I also know how valuable it is to have somebody else holding the clipboard on the day, and that is where a day of coordinator comes in. So if I could tell you just one thing, this is what I would tell you. And okay, it's not going to be one thing. I'm going to list a couple of things, but these are some golden nugget truths that are going to help you. Start slow. Don't rush into booking your suppliers before you've nailed down your priorities. I've said this on the podcast so many times, but if you don't know what your priorities are, you're going to get caught up in all the things that you're told to do. You're not going to know where to put your budget. You're not going to know who to book. You're just going to make decisions without actually having any solid information to go with. The next thing, don't plan your wedding for other people. Plan it for you and your partner, and with the other people in mind. Of course, you want your guests to have an amazing celebration as well. You're inviting them for a reason. It's not just for the gifts. You're inviting them to celebrate together. So while you want to celebrate with everybody else, what's really important is that you and your partner agree on what's important to you, and you plan a day that celebrates your love story. Always ask the question, do we really care about this, or do we think that we are supposed to care? There's nothing that you have to do. There are a few legal things that have to happen, but apart from that, there's nothing that you have to do. So don't get caught up in doing things because you feel like you must do them. Choose suppliers whose work and personality you trust, and then trust them. Hand over the reins and allow them to do what you're paying them to do. Be realistic about your time and stress levels, because planning a wedding really can feel like a part-time job. And day of help is not a luxury, it is peace of mind. And I fully stand by that. Having somebody to run things on the day is a game changer. Okay, this is the final thing that we're going to go through together, and it's just really quickly. Here is when a wedding planner or coordinator is worth it. Firstly, if you're getting married abroad or far from home, somebody on the ground who understands the local climate is a game changer for you. If you and your partner both work full-time and you don't want to be planning in the evenings, you're going to need some help. If you want to have a relaxed wedding morning with no logistical stress, a wedding coordinator or planner is going to be the one to pull strings and to make it happen for you so you can just get ready and have fun. And finally, if you're somebody who hates spreadsheets, that's good enough reason to have somebody else take over the planning for you. Well, thank you for listening today. The Wedding Wednesdays with Weddings Online podcast is produced by me, Kelly, and mixed, mastered, and edited by Glenn Hartman. For more wedding planning tips, advice, checklists, and more, visit weddingsonline.ie.